Hello, podheads, and welcome back to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. I'm your host today, Holly Spear.
This is Kate Carter.
And I'm Kylie Colwell.
And today is my episode, and this one is kind of a frustrating episode. We'll just go ahead and jump right in. In December of 2015, 19-year-old Katelin Akens boarded a flight home to Virginia to visit her family and pick up her high school diploma. She was supposed to return to Arizona just a few days later to start cosmetology school. But she never made it back. Instead, her suitcase turned up in a ditch, her phone went dark, and this is one of those mysteries where people believe they know the answer, but they just can't prove it. Was Katelin a runaway, or did someone make her disappear? This is Katelin Akens' sudden disappearance. Katelin Akens is a vibrant 19-year-old from Spotsylvania County, Virginia, where she grew up her whole life until high school. Now, Katelin is fiercely independent. She's got this funky, edgy vibe. She's got tattoos, piercing. She changes up her hair color. You kind of know where I'm going. She's not like goth, but she's definitely like alternative, you know?
Artsy.
She's artsy. She's punky, like in a good way. Along with that, she's ambitious. She's driven. Like I said, she's fiercely independent. And school was not really her thing. She wasn't about to just hang around for funsies. So she asked her mom if she could graduate early, and she did. Katelin doubled down on her junior and senior years, and by 16 years old, she had a high school diploma in her hands. And she's killing it. Right after graduation, she starts working, and as soon as she turns 18, she knows exactly what she wanted. She wanted to move to Arizona. And part of that decision was because of a girl named Amber. So Amber had been Katelin's best friend since childhood. They actually lived down the street from each other. And growing up, they were just inseparable, always together. But then Amber's family moved to Arizona when the girls were around 12 years old. But that distance didn't matter. The girls stayed close and they talked every single day. Over time, their friendship kind of turned more romantic than friendship. And eventually the two got engaged. So when Katelin turned 18, that's where she's going. She packed up and she moved to Arizona to be with Amber. But when Katelin moved, she still stayed really close with her mom and her sister. And they said it was unusual if Katelin didn't call them 2 to 3 times a day. So she's very close with her family. Through all of the things that I read, I never saw a dad in the picture. So I just assume that it's always just been her mom and her sister. It doesn't seem like he's a big part of her life, if anything. So, and she's not just moving for Amber. Katelin had a dream. She wanted to go to cosmetology school. So she registers for that school in 2015. During registration, the school needs a copy of her high school diploma, which is still back at her mom's house in Virginia. And this is perfect timing. Her sister had just given birth and Katelin was thrilled to be a first-time aunt. So it's a double trip. She's going to come back and get her diploma, but she's also coming back to visit family, see her niece. On December 1st, 2015, Katelin flew back to Virginia. She was set to start cosmetology school on December 7th. She spent time with her family, and then on Friday, December 4th, she hung out with some old high school friends. They drank, they played games, and because everyone had been drinking, she just decided to crash at their place. The next morning, Saturday, December 5th, her friends end up giving her a ride home. Katelin needed to get moving that day because she has her flight back to Arizona later that day at 5:40 p.m. So she says her goodbyes and everything seemed normal. Now, the airport is about 50 miles away from her mom's home. So her mom has to work all that day. So Katelin arranged for a ride with her ex-stepdad, James. So James is going to take her to the airport. And this wasn't really unusual. James had been in Katelin's life since she was 7 years old. Even after he and her mom divorced, he stayed involved. He was there for birthdays, major life events, holidays, all the things. He was like a dad to Katelin and her sister. That morning, before heading to work, Katelin's mom drops her off at James' house around 9 a.m. And James also has to work later that day, so he needs to drop Katelin off at the airport earlier than necessary, earlier than she would usually get there to board her plane. But it's just she's just going to hang out around the airport before her flight. No big deal. By then, Katelin and James weren't as close as they once had been, but the ride would give them a chance to catch up. A few hours later, at 1:52 p.m., James texts Katelin's mom, Lisa, and he says, "I dropped her off." Lisa says, "Thanks." and asks if traffic had been bad. He replies, no. Minutes later, Lisa gets a text from Katelin. I'm at the airport, battery dying, won't be able to text for a bit. Lisa responded, okay, let me know when you get on the plane. But here's where things start to get a little wonky. Around the same time, Katelin texted Amber, her fiance, except this message didn't match what she told her mom. She told Amber something had gone wrong with her flight and that she had to wait for a new one. And Amber instantly feels this like gut feeling that something's wrong. Like, you know how someone texts. Like, do you guys feel like that?
Oh, for sure.
I 100% think like I could tell if somebody wasn't texting from their phone.
Emojis, capitalization, like spacing, like
Yeah.
in my text message, instead of sending like a thread of messages, I send like one big message and I'll like space down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Amber's feeling right now. She's like, okay, something's kind of off. So Amber said that Katelin usually used a ton of emojis. She sent long single texts instead of short choppy ones, which is kind of like what I do. So this wasn't her. And Amber trusted her gut, and she actually texts Katelin's mom, Lisa, and says that something just doesn't feel right. And Lisa agrees. Things weren't lining up. And then Katelin stopped answering anyone entirely. No calls, no texts, nothing. Now, Katelin had told her mom that her phone was about to die, but Lisa and Amber keep trying, keep leaving messages, begging her to reply, which makes you think that like maybe her phone wasn't off yet. Like maybe it didn't die because they had said that they were continuing to like call and text. Neither one of them ever mentioned like the phone is off or it's lost signal. Worried, Lisa called James to see if he knew anything. That's when James casually changed his story. He admitted that he didn't drop Katelin off at the airport. Instead, he claimed that he dropped her off at the Springfield Mall, which was near the airport. According to him, Katelin didn't want to sit around the airport for hours, and she said she'd rather just stop at the mall, shop around a little bit, and then she'd take the metro to the airport closer to time.
Like, why lie about that? Like, that's very innocent, you know? So, like, there was no point to lie about that in the first place.
Yeah, like the text that he sent to Lisa was like, it specifically said, I just dropped her off at the airport. I just dropped her off. He didn't say that he changed the plans. He didn't say that Katelin had changed the plans. It's just like a weird thing to lie about. It doesn't make much sense. And this doesn't sit right with Lisa. For one, this wasn't the plan. And two, Katelin had actually never taken the metro alone, and she wouldn't even know how to navigate it in the first place. So now Lisa's even more terrified. What if Katelin got dropped off at this mall? She has no transportation. Something happens to her on the metro or in the parking lot of the mall. She's just thinking a million different things at this point, as a mom would. The rest of the day, the family continues to try to reach Katelin, and they get nothing. That is until 7:15 p.m. when Lisa gets two very short texts from Katelin. First text says, with a friend, and the second one says, need time alone. So Lisa's driving home from work when she gets these text messages, and she immediately pulls over and tries calling Katelin, and the phone went straight to voicemail. And by this time, her 5:40 flight that she was supposed to be on had long since left, and Lisa knew something was seriously wrong. And then Amber gets another message, this time through Facebook Messenger. Katelin supposedly said that she couldn't come back to Arizona because she had cheated on Amber. Amber's devastated, but she doesn't believe that this is true. She's devastated because she thinks that something's wrong with Katelin. She and Katelin had been happy. They were planning their wedding, and cheating's not something she saw coming. I mean, I guess you don't always see it coming, but she says that they were happy and it would just be completely out of the realm of possibilities that she could imagine.
To relay that information through Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, like, damn. By this point, Lisa and Amber weren't just worried that something strange was going on with Katelin. They were starting to worry if it was even her that they were texting. Because think about it. Katelin had just been with her family. She was happy, normal, excited to get back to school. She didn't seem upset. She didn't seem guilty about cheating on someone. And she definitely didn't seem like someone who needed space. So none of this is lining up. Lisa then calls the airline to double check. And sure enough, they confirm Katelin never got on that flight. In fact, she never even checked in at the airport. So with nowhere else to turn, Lisa calls James again. Remember, he's the last person to have seen Katelin, and she asked if Katelin had said anything that morning, anything about being upset, anything out of the usual, anything about meeting someone, anything at all. But James repeats the same story. She was fine. Nothing was unusual. He gave her $20 for the metro, and then he left for work. The family keeps calling Katelin, hoping that she'll respond. But this day goes into the next, and still nothing. So finally, they go to the police. And the police basically tell them that there is nothing that they can do. Katelin is 19 years old. She's legally an adult. She sent messages saying that she needed space and that she was okay. She said she's with a friend. So to the police, this sounds like a young woman who just didn't want to talk to her family. And honestly, from their perspective, like, I get that a little bit. Like, it's not a crime to just not want to talk to your family. And there's really no red flags other than what you can see internally within the family. Like, they just know that it's not her texting, and that's kind of hard to explain to police, like they don't get that. So then another day goes by. No calls, no texts, no sign of Katelin. 2 full days. And Lisa officially files a missing persons report. And that's when things shift. Because while she's filing that missing persons report, at the same time, police sit Lisa down and tell her that they've found something. They found Katelin's luggage. And not at the airport, not even at the mall, not even in the town that the airport was in. It's 50 miles back in her hometown in the opposite direction. The suitcase was found in a drainage ditch. It was banged up with a broken wheel, kind of like it had been tossed from a moving car. Inside, police found her wallet with all of her credit and debit cards, her toothbrush, her phone charger, but they did not find her phone, her clothes, and her high school diploma, which was the very reason that she came back to Virginia in the first place. So everyone is stunned. Up until now, they assumed Katelin disappeared somewhere between the mall and the airport, and that's like where they were searching and focusing on. But the luggage changes everything. They're questioning, did she ever make it to the mall? Did she ever make it to the airport? Or had she circled back closer to home when something happened? Police consider another theory. Maybe Katelin meant to disappear. After all, her text said she needed space, and she admitted, at least in the Facebook message, to cheating on Amber. So maybe she ran away. But I mean, obviously the problem is, if Katelin wanted to run away, why leave behind your wallet and your cards and ditch the suitcase that literally has everything you would need in it to run away? I mean, I guess she didn't have her clothes in there, but I mean, it's very hard to get around without a car and without any cash or cards.
Also, why is the diploma gone?
Yeah, it's very odd. So investigators know this doesn't really add up, and they launch an infrared helicopter search that spans over 30 miles around where the suitcase was found. And they find nothing. No sign of Katelin, no sign of her belongings. So they're back to the basics. And they start with the last person to see her, which we all know is James. And once again, James tells the detectives the same story. Katelin was early for her flight, so he dropped her off at the Springfield Mall by JCPenney's specifically. She planned to ride the metro the rest of the way. James insists nothing about this stuck out to him. It wasn't weird for her to ride the metro to him. Katelin was independent. She could handle things by herself. So, police pull surveillance footage from the JCPenney. And while waiting on that, they get another call. The body of a young woman had just been found miles away from where Katelin's suitcase turned up. Obviously, everyone fears the worst. The victim is around the same age, same height, and same build as Katelin. She's found inside a car, killed by a gunshot wound to the back of the head. But this is not Katelin. This victim is 21-year-old Heather Ciccone. And for a moment, police have to consider whether these two cases are linked. They're 2 young women in the same area, the same time frame, both with unusual circumstances. But eventually they determine that there's no connection. Heather's case is solved separately, and it's a dead end for Katelin. So investigators circle back to Katelin's timeline. They talk to her friends that she stayed with while she was home, and they get the same story. She was drinking, crashed at their place, and then went home the next morning. But detectives learned something new. That night, Katelin, along with her 2 friends, actually did cheat on Amber. They had a threesome. Her friends admit that the next morning, everyone felt super awkward and regretful, and Katelin was kind of like quiet and withdrawn through all of this. Detectives look into the friends, but found no immediate red flags. Still, it makes them rethink the Facebook messages to Amber. Maybe that really was from Katelin. After all, who else would know that she was cheating? Police dig deeper into her messages and find that Katelin had confided into someone else that she didn't want to be in Virginia, but she also didn't want to go back to Arizona. To investigators, she's starting to look like someone that's on the verge of running away. And so for 2 weeks, they kind of stake out the friends' homes and local hangouts. Nothing. Katelin has completely vanished. Finally, they get a hold of Katelin's phone records. And this is the bombshell evidence for police. That message where she supposedly said she was at the airport and her phone was dying, like to your mom, her phone actually pinged 5 miles from where her suitcase was found. Remember, this is 50 miles away from the airport.
She was never in that area, period.
She was never in the area.
Where did her stepdad take her?
We know at that exact time, James was also claiming that he dropped her off at the mall, which is also 50 miles in the other direction. Police double back to the Springfield Mall footage, and they even asked James for a photo of his car to help identify it, and he's happy to hand it over. But when investigators comb through the footage, bit by bit, they don't see his car, so they switch cameras, switch angles. They still don't see his car. They find nothing. No Katelin, no James' car, nothing. Then they turn to the metro. They check the metro footage. Nothing. They check the airport footage. Nothing. It just doesn't make sense. James is cooperative. He's consistent. He hands over photos of his car like he has nothing to hide. On the surface, he isn't giving off obvious red flags, but the evidence is starting to crumble his story. Police bring James back in. They present him with the inconsistencies and ask if he'd be willing to take a polygraph, and he agrees. They schedule it for December 29th, right after the holidays. And at this point, detectives don't even consider James a suspect. They're still leaning towards the theory that Katelin may have run away. And a lot of signs do point in that direction. After the holidays, James ends up calling police and informing them that he has talked to his attorney and that he will not be consenting to a polygraph. You know how we feel about polygraphs here on Over My Dead Pod. I don't think we need to go into it again. But James has given police everything that they've asked for. He tells the same story every time. He answers their calls when they call him. He turns in pictures of his car. He's done multiple interviews. I think it would be a little naive for an attorney to say you can consent to a polygraph. So,
Because you said the police still think she ran away. Do they think James helped her?
I don't know if police think that, but that is a theory that people do think that maybe he did help her vanish. Police go through other means to investigate James. They end up subpoenaing his cell phone records, and they find a bombshell that makes their stomachs drop. That text that James sent Lisa at 1:52, saying that he had dropped Katelin off at the airport, it was sent back in his home, 50 miles away.
Love that.
So within that time frame, this is what makes it so tricky, because it's possible that he drops her off at the mall and then drives home and then sends that message. If he dropped her off by 1, then logistically he could have made it back by 1:52 to send that message. It's 50 miles away. But as police track, they're able to tell that James and his phone were never near the mall. They were never near the airport. In fact, all the activity from James' phone was right there in his home. Even more eerie, that day that her family and friends were frantically searching for Katelin, calling and texting her phone nonstop, and James got multiple calls from her family members and friends asking where she was at. James never tries to reach out to Katelin one time. He doesn't text her. He doesn't call her.
I don't know if there's much to say here. Not good vibes, James. Not good vibes.
Like, you're the last person to see her and you're not calling or texting her one time. The next step is police obtain a search warrant to search James' home and his property. He lives on like 10 acres or so police search the whole thing. They take all of his electronics and they actually find nothing. No evidence of foul play. They also discover that James has a rental property. They search that. It also showed no trace of a struggle or crime. And most damning of all, for months, James claimed after dropping Katelin off, he went to work. That was the whole thing. Like, he had to drop her off early so that he could make it to work on time. But y'all, police find out that he did not even go to work that day, despite claiming that he had for months afterwards.
Come on. I don't care how much you cooperate with the police. Everything so far has been red flags towards him.
Kind of a little summary here. Maybe she got to the airport and turned around because she felt like she couldn't go home after what happened with her friends. But then how did she get to the airport? James' phone was nowhere in the area unless he didn't take his phone. Maybe he didn't take his phone on the drive to drop her off? Question mark. But then why not just say that to police? Then why was your car never seen where it should have been when you claimed you dropped her off? And we know that she did have that issue cheating with her friends and their partner. And we know that she did send a text message to Amber saying that she couldn't come home. So did she tell James that? Did anyone know that other than her and the friends? Did she maybe confide in her ex-stepdad? Did he know? We don't know. Let's talk theories. There's obviously the big one that James did something to Katelin. And this seems like the most obvious answer since James was not in the places that he said he was. He never shows up to work that day, despite telling everyone that he did. His phone never left his house, and he shut down and refused to continue to answer any more questions. The only two questions I have with this are one, why? He was her stepdad for many years, and there was never any allegations of abuse or violence. Surely he didn't have anything against her. They weren't even really that close at this point. But at the same time, I mean, why does anyone randomly kill anyone? We know that it happens. Another issue is the Facebook Messenger message to Amber. I think that he would have to know that information. She would have to tell him that information, or she would have to text it herself.
I don't know, maybe he just thought that that's a good excuse for why she wouldn't want to come home and it just happened to be true.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I mean, I think it's possible because I mean, that sounds like we know that she was, if it wasn't her, she's already giving like these practical excuses. Like when she texts Amber and she says, something's wrong with my flight, I have to wait on another one. Like if it's not Katelin, whoever has her phone is already making up like actual excuses that make sense. And the next theory is that she just chose to disappear. Maybe she was ashamed of cheating on her fiance and she just didn't want to come home. To back this up, they found texts on her phone previously that was her saying that she didn't want to stay in Virginia, but she also didn't want to go home. Issues with this is obviously why not go ahead and take your suitcase that you have packed if you're going to disappear? Why not take your money or your ID? You can't really get around with no money. She has her cell phone, but she's not using it at all if she's run away. And why was her luggage found on the side of the road looking like it was tossed out of a moving car? She didn't have a car with her, so she shouldn't have been able to like throw it on the side of the road from a car. This is just my opinion. I don't really think cheating on your fiance is like a reason to leave your entire life.
And also to do it very suddenly with zero time to plan.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of red flags in this story, but I don't understand why certain things were taken out of the suitcase and others weren't. That just doesn't, and why not just take the suitcase? Like, you're going to tell me she ran off holding a bunch of clothes and a diploma?
And her phone that she turns off and doesn't use the rest of the time.
Right. Because if you're going to get lost, you don't take your phone with you.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's what happened. I obviously think that a lot of things point to this ex-stepdad. But even in that case, why did he take the clothes and the diploma? Like, it just makes everything's a little weird about this.
And another theory Kylie mentioned earlier is maybe the stepdad helped Katelin like disappear. The only issue that I have with this, and there's really nothing to suggest that he did other than like, we don't know, like it's just one big question mark. But my issue is like, he's being questioned by police so much that he gets an attorney. They ask him to take a polygraph. Like he's being heavily looked at. And if you look up this case, like it is just everyone saying that it's him, but it can't be proved. Like, why would you not just, I would crack. I would be like, you know what? Yes, she wanted to disappear. She never wanted to talk to her family again. And I helped her. I helped her disappear. That's not a crime. So another theory that I don't like is that Katelin met up with a stranger that she met online and something sinister happened to her after that. This is a theory that like some people close to Katelin support. I don't like it for multiple different reasons. The police don't find
the people close to her support this idea.
Her sister thinks that this could be the case.
Oh.
Police didn't find any evidence on her phone that would have led to this. Like she would have had to have been texting this person. They did find that she had one of those like text-free apps on her phone that was like encrypted that you couldn't get into. So maybe she was talking to them on there. I have like an app like that I use on my phone. I'm not talking to anybody crazy, you know?
Golly.
Another issue with this is that there's just too much of an issue with James' story. If he did drop her off in front of the mall at J.C. Penney's, like he said, but she goes to meet up with someone, why is she not on the security footage? Where'd she meet up with him? I guess she could have met up with him somewhere in her hometown, but if there's too many things going on at one time. What do you guys think?
I mean, obviously, James,
Yeah.
prime suspect number one, but the window is still tight. I guess we don't really know what time he picked her up,
Mm-hmm.
but then he texts mom Lisa at 1:52 p.m. and dumps the suitcase somewhere.
It's really weird.
I just don't get any other theory.
The only thing I can think of is like maybe he took her somewhere and killed her or did something to her. And maybe like, I don't know. I was gonna say like people who don't know a lot about like evidence, maybe he's like, oh, I gotta burn her clothes because there's DNA on it. But like you left her ID in her wallet in her luggage.
Maybe that stuff was left behind on purpose, so it would be easily identified.
Maybe. So, to this day, the disappearance of Katelin Akens remains unsolved. There have been no arrests, no solid answers, and her family continues to live with the pain of not knowing what happened to their daughter and sister. They've spent nearly a decade searching and hoping that someone will come forward with the truth. So, if you have any information about the disappearance of Katelin Aiken, please contact the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office because Caitlin deserves answers and her family deserves justice. And that is the story of Caitlin Akens.
Like the story just ends. There's no leads, there's no clues, there's no evidence.
Kate's favorite kind of story.
Freaking hate it, man. You know I'm gonna go into a black hole tonight looking it up. I'm already looking it up right now.
Most people think that James had something to do with it. So,
I think that's a good theory.
yeah. All right. Well, should we hop into overtime? Okay, I have something that Kylie obviously feels very passionate about to talk about because it's the first thing on our overtime topics. If you're a listener and you don't know, we have overtime topics in a notes app that we share and we just update it with like random thoughts that we have. Kylie's first random thought, number one on this list, is what Shrek characters are we? Open parentheses, Holly is the gingerbread man, close parentheses. I would like a summary of why.
That cracks me up, I will say. I don't understand why she's the gingerbread man either, but I support it.
Okay, you guys clearly aren't big Shrek fans like I am. I don't know if I've ever shared this one over time, but I used to be in a Shrek club, and I'm an avid watcher of Shrek. Which, by the way, all 5 movies are, or all 4 movies are back on Netflix today.
Are they?
Oh, so we
Yes.
know what you're doing for the rest of the day.
Well, after I edit this episode, I will be watching all the Shrek movies. Holly is a gingerbread man because, little, petite, but he's also Holly Jolly. He's all happy, kind of
Yeah.
dancing. He's in a good mood, but he's quiet, reserved. He's a little shy. But once you get to know him, he's like a happy little guy.
I'm just a happy little guy.
Happy little guy.
Okay, Kate's Lord Farquaad,
Oh,
obviously.
for sure.
Kylie, who do you think that you are? I'm trying to think.
I'm definitely Donkey.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks.
I'm the comedic relief.
That's so true. Why is Kate Lord Farquaad other than it's just like she's giving the vibe, and she is for a way I can't explain. What is it?
Is it the hair?
I don't know. I can't wait till she comes
All right,
back.
fuck you, Holly. I had to step away for a second to take care of my sick child, and I am not Lord Farquaad. I don't even have the hair. That's more of Millie's.
Look at her hair right now. Look at her hair right now. Are you kidding me?
I find that quite insulting. I thought I would have been something else, maybe like the donkey, but it's fine.
I mean,
should we all take a Shrek quiz right now?
None of the characters on there are like attractive, so it's not a looks thing. But I mean, your hair did the way you just had it was.
I'm sending you guys the BuzzFeed quiz, and we're gonna take it right now.
Kate, maybe you can be Princess Fiona because you can be nice, but you're also like a badass. Like she beats up the robbers. And
Look, she's getting mad. She's getting mad before you even got to finish.
You're mad about Princess Fiona?
I was until you said that she was badass. I thought you were gonna say something.
Kate's like, oh, okay.
Do you even know Shrek?
I do, but okay, go take your quiz. All right. I don't like this quiz.
Lord Farquaad.
No, it told me I'm King Harold, the dad.
I can see it.
What'd you
You're
get, Kylie?
you're a grumpy old man. I'm Puss in Boots, baby.
Yes, you
Oh
are.
my gosh,
God.
that's actually
That's
so much
perfect.
more perfect. Yeah.
I'm retaking it. What kind of name?
No, Kate,
No,
that's cheating.
I'm not fucking what's his name?
It's on recording that you're King Harold, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
He turns into a frog. He means well though.
He does die in like the second movie.
Okay, I redid it and I still get the same answer.
It's meant to be.
Ew, I got Fiona.
So you're definitely not Fiona.
No.
Or Kate, your dad.
Daddy.
All right,
Okay.
bitch, listen up. Kylie's definitely Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
Ollie, you're definitely the gingerbread man.
Obviously. And
Screw
Lord
you
Farquaad.
guys. I'm not Lord Farquaad. I hate you all. Whatever. I'll take it. Can I be like the fairy godmother or something?
You can say you're whatever you want, but you're always going to be Lord Farquaad.
All right. I hate you all. I'm done with this recording.
And with that, I think Kylie's got to go watch all 5 episodes of Shrek, all 5 movies. And we will see you next time on another case. Thanks for tuning in to Over My Dead Pod. And if you like this episode, you can like, subscribe, follow us, rate us, all the things. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.